What's up, people? Okay, so I'm back, and we're gonna do music. This one, of course, at the end, who knows what I'll say. Yeah, I need to shave. It's still Wednesday. It's Wednesday night, and I'm gonna talk about some music. What you hear is Screaming Plastic. This is a brand new release. Self-titled. I'm going to go ahead and stop it now, so you can hear a bit for yourself. I love it. 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 Thank goodness it only took a few listens for it to come through. Of course, I do know this band, Screaming Plastic. They were based out of Omaha. Hannah plays cello and other things. She moved. I think someone else, maybe Phil, doesn't live here anymore. Jeff and Ben are still here. I've shared shows with these guys, with Screaming Plastic. Chemicals and Screaming Plastic have done shows together. And so I've been able to experience them live. They improvise. They're improvisers. I've also played with these people. I've performed with them in different situations, okay? Really happy for them because they were able to get some backing to get this released. For a minute they thought they might be able to get it put out on vinyl, and that didn't come through, but they were able to get funding to go into the studio proper, and they went to ARC Studios, you know, here in town. Really nice studio, co-owned by Conor Oberst and I don't know who else. But this is guitar, cello, electronics, and percussion. It's the thing to say about it is that it's improvised music that these guys listen, okay? And so each piece, they kind of emerge. I like that. These pieces were chosen from probably a long session, you know, and that's kind of the way you do it. You just get going, record everything, you know, and you get to the cherry. I mean, that's how we got Can. I mean, many things. Bitches Brew. And this is a really good example where the folks are listening, and each piece just some things are almost like a person or like a thing is coming out to spend some time with you, and other pieces are more like places or like a milieu that has an energy. You follow what I'm saying? I really like improvisation. Not all improvisation gives you something that really is satisfying. Okay, again, there's no guarantee with it. This, they listen, and so they chose well. I can recommend this. Screaming Plastic, just released 2019. I will remember to put the link. Now this is going to get talked about more than once because my appreciation for Carla in particular just continues to grow, her artistry. But I just got my copy in of one of the latest things that Carla Dereck has done. This is with Pascal Vossel. Let me see. This is Pascal Vossel and Carla Dereck. Précisément. I think that means correct magnets or precise magnet. The cover artwork, which is wonderful, is by Frederick Lipichinsky, another person I'm becoming familiar with through the internet. this was my preliminary, because I'll come back to this, because this is the kind of stuff that I love, and so I haven't fully absorbed it, but I already can tell you how much I love this, honestly, okay? And what it's like is, you know, I think I can endeavor to play a little bit of this, and I know that I have the artist imply, I know I can assume that. Well, maybe I don't know that, but I'm going to assume, hope I don't make an ass of you and me by doing it, that Carla and Pascal won't mind me playing a little bit of this. Listen to how it starts. Come on, baby. There's a nice lyric sheet inside, so you can check out Carla's poetry, her words.
There is that melody that turned into her enemy. That's shrinking and sitting her whole body.
Here's that voice. Pascal.
Brain waves, heart waves.
Okay.
Her constant alpines.
Oh. Once again, you can hear for yourself whether or not this is something for you. The thing that really strikes me about this, Pascal and Carla, is it sounds like it sounds like a group. It's just two people. I really want to applaud Pascal on his feel for all the instruments. Those drums are loops, and it feels like, you know, it's a real drummer, but the way that he's layered it, the way that he's got it looped, and how he is playing on it, the bass and the guitar, so nuanced, and you follow what I'm saying. That's the other thing I get about Carla and the way that she approaches singing. You know, it's like, it's the whole personality embodying each time she takes on a song. It's not always the same part of her, and I dare say, I think in some songs maybe she's playing a character, but that voice, it's like really strong stuff. I can already tell you, and it's noted on the back, they do a cover of Robert Wyatt from Soft Machine's Sea Song from his album Rock Bottom, his solo album that he made after he recovered from being paralyzed. It's an absolutely gorgeous song from this album, Rock Bottom. And their version, they make it, they take it and make their own version. There's the homage to Robert Wyatt, because again, you can hear the love for the song in the way that they approach it, but they don't at all attempt to reproduce that arrangement. And at the end, when Carla goes into the ad-lib and the bit of scat, similar to what Robert does, you know, with the wah 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 and all that, it's very touching. I'll be speaking about it again. Friends, thank you for sharing this with me. Again, I'll say it probably more than some folks will want to hear. I'm beyond chuffed, as you say in England, that I am involved, that I'm on a record along with Carla, and that she's my buddy, she's my sister. And Pascal, was just talking to him about this. I was surprised, when he told me that it was drum loops. I thought it was a drummer, and then I listened closely and I says, damn, hell yes. Yeah, he does think like a drummer. Okay, you get the message, don't you? Some of you other folks that don't know about this record, Rock Bottom, Robert Wyatt, Soft Machine. I talk about these people all the time. Hopefully by now you get the message that Robert Wyatt, Soft Machine, these are people that, in my opinion, should, I don't like to use that word much, but I will say, in my mind, even though they are, no, it's not even though. The Beatles, helped to, according to some theories, helped to destroy youth culture, but actually were such a breath of fresh air and knocked some new life into music. It makes sense to me that a band like Soft Machine, along with the Beatles and Pink Floyd, should be lauded and known more. They should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, even though the average Joe in America doesn't know who, Soft who? Beside the point, the history was made, Find out. Find out. I want to talk about some more music. Before I go, I sort of had a plan, I thought, and then it's... Okay, so this is what's left here. It's been a rather interesting day. Life is interesting. I got out and got to the store today. It is really cold, though. It is really cold here. Okay, so I was grabbing some CDs to listen to some Sakamoto, but while I grabbed them, the Saint Etienne CD single came up. And I have this. I got it so I could listen to Saint Etienne, because I don't really think much of this approach. It's kind of lo-fi, or kind of like, it's like these people can barely play, but they love this music. That's how it hits me. But there that was. But then I got into some Sakamoto. Futurista is one of his albums I haven't played in a while. This came out in, I think, 1986. 1986. And I was really heavily collecting Sakamoto for a while, so I got that CD as well as a gold CD of it. And is there a sonic difference between a gold CD and a regular? Yes, there is. Any of you guys that have gold ones can attest to that. Sakamoto is just brilliant to me. Here's a CD single. Check this out if you hadn't heard this. Look this up online. Sakamoto doing a cover of the Rolling Stones song We Love You, with vocals by none other than Robert Wyatt and Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. Okay, how's that? How's that for having your ducks in a row? How's that for having people knowing who's who? I was getting a little bit of shit today from someone online thinking that I am trying to be a smartass, showing all this obscure stuff. Like I'm trying to do something, but it's like what I'm trying to do is just show you what I listen to and say, yes, here's what I see, what everyone else has been listening to and what everyone else is listening to all the time. It's like, why don't you know about this? So is there a bit of an attitude on my part? Oh yeah, it's my God, this excellence. Here it goes. See, it goes right into, you connect the dots and you can't separate them between the socio-political and everything. You know what I'm saying? So we have all this excellence, these artists who make amazing, deep music. And yet, what does the market push? It pushes mediocrity. It pushes the lowest common denominator to sell. But please note that of all the things that you could choose as your basic backdrop of what to sell, musically and entertainment-wise to people, look at the content of a lot of mainstream media, not just now, but all the way back. Obviously a lot of obsession with sex, but violence and mayhem. You know what I'm saying? And degradation, the degradation of the human spirit. I say, okay. I got to get this out. Props to Cardi B for getting money. But again, just like Madonna and others before her, isn't it a damn shame that she basically has to present herself as a model for sex workers or making music for sex slaves? That's what it sounds like to me. Club music, I mean, that's one of the backdrops for a lot of this harmful stuff that goes on. It's not just in the movies, these back rooms. I've been in them, and haven't some of you? See how I just got to put it all together? How can I not talk about the connection between what's happening in our lives, music, and politics and values? I'm just as fucked up as those politicians, but I don't go out. That's why I'm not a politician, because I approached public life in that sense. I've told you all this. And I see what the real deal is. It's not possible to do good. I mean, like tiny increments. A little bit of good can maybe happen out of some things. But the ultimate thing that you're doing is keeping the wheels going, okay? And so Sakamoto, right? I was listening to Andy Bowl, guitarist, works with I believe he's in Gong. I think was playing with David Allen before David Allen passed away. I think I got that right. He sent me a bunch of stuff years ago, and I did a review. But I get so much music that a lot of times I forget to go back, and so I went back and listened to this. Ramshackle Pier, didn't get all the way through it tonight. This is guitar, and what else does he play on here? Acoustic guitar, bass, pipa, percussion. Bill Galanis and Catherine Jonio are on here. This is really, really cool and lyrical. I didn't get all the way through it, but it was like, this is good. This is really good. His guitar technique is of note here. There's some interesting picking going on. Andy Bowl. Yeah, let me give some love to Andy. I'll go back to some vinyl in a second. I'm going to go for a while because it's evening. I'm going to let it roll up overnight. Sakamoto, Ryuichi Sakamoto is truly one of my favorite musicians of all time. I was listening to this the other day. Kamika. I think this came out in the 90s. And this is another one of those where he's doing these things could almost be called cloud tone poems, where it's piano and these interesting sustaining, ringing tones and sounds. He's got a great ear for putting together just sounds. Sometimes you're not even sure. It sounds like it's shimmering, or it's like water, but it's not water. Or it's like, what is it? But it doesn't distract from the music. It heightens it. Sakamoto, Kamika. I was listening to some Mahavishnu Orchestra. I had the album out. I'll go ahead and show it. My copy is beat, because this is the one that I have from when it came out in the 70s. Visions of the Emerald Beyond. The second incarnation of the Mahavishnu Orchestra was Narada Michael Walden and Ralph Armstrong. I got to see them live, and they really, of course, it's not comparable to the original with Billy Cobham and those guys. But what I saw blew my mind. It did. Of all things, they were opening for the Guess Who. Well, we left. There was no reason, and I like the Guess Who, but there was no reason to stay. It was just that we were well, good for John McLaughlin, because he probably got paid Mahavishnu opening for the Guess Who? We left. Incredible. Another one related to Yellow Magic Orchestra. Hiroyasu Yaguchi, a sax player, gastronomic. And this is kind of lighthearted. And there's some other cool people on here. It's kind of got a surfy kind of feel to it, you know. But besides, Steve Jansen and Richard Barbieri are on here. From Japan, Porcupine Tree, all that. Andy Partridge of XTC is on here. Robert Bell from the Blue Nile is on here. Cool album. Again, I've been listening to some more Mark Hollis stuff, and was reminded that Mark Hollis is on this. Really cool Alanson Brown AV1. And Mark Hollis is using the alias John Cope, which is the name of one of their songs, of a Talk song. This is way cool. Most of it is really open and ambient, in particular piano, which is by Mark Hollis. But there's also a thing that ends up being in a beat, and it's kind of like I had to look and see, what am I listening to? Because it sounded like you went from listening to one album to another. But another related to Mark Hollis. Rest in peace, Mark Hollis. And then, see, I didn't even get ready. See, there's so much going on. We just lost Andy Anderson, who played drums with The Cure for a while, Hawkwind, Steve Hillage, Iggy Pop. Now, I only have The Cure's first album, an original. I was really impressed when they first came out. But again, one of those bands that everyone absorbs, and then it's like, well, I'll just move on and, you know, see what other people are doing, but they're good. But when Andy joined The Cure around the time of the album The Top, that was really significant to me, for me to see a black guy in a new wave, or just, you know what I'm saying, post-punk band like that. Because, you know, racism, as you can see, just hasn't gone any fucking where. There seemed to be some progress made there since the 60s, you know, as you can see. Quite a bit of it was really just down to individuals, but collectively we're just fucked. But it meant a lot to me to see that they had a black drummer, that those guys were cool enough to take the risk because of the, you know, they were rising. The Cure, you know, I mean, they're a darling band. And it's happened before where, like with Jimi Hendrix, who's black, but then when he got a whole black band, it was like there was a backlash, especially from the industry. It was like, we can't control you. Get them white boys back. But, you know, to see Andy embraced, you know, by the band, you know, and by the audience, you know. I was doing the same thing at the time with my band Digital Sex here in Omaha. Look us up, Digital Sex. I won't grab the record again. You probably know about us. That was the beginning of the 80s. And I had already made the news at the end of the 70s, being in a rock and roll band, being the only black people who weren't playing rock music here in the Midwest. I mean, that's how backwards it is. There were, but there weren't. Nobody knew, you know what I'm saying? And so it just really, you know, Barry Adamson of Magazine, I even emailed him a long time ago, 10 plus years ago, to tell him how he, even though he's younger than me, was an inspiration to me as a black man playing this music that is so unquote black. And he wrote back, you know, because it's like, it's a brotherhood. It's like we're all brothers, but those guys know what I'm talking about. When you're out there in a sea of white playing this music that you love, a lot of the times along with people that you love and they love you, but playing it to a mixture of people who love the music but may not love you, you know, We're fucking pioneers, okay? So, rest in peace, Andy Anderson. There's been more folks, you know. Sucks how people just go, you know. Peter Tork, you know, and all that. And there's been more, some actors and stuff, authors. I forget. I'm sure did I mention Ken Nordine, the voice? I don't have any of his solo albums, but I've got him on an H.P. Lovecraft album. They do one of his tracks, Nothing's Boy. See, there's just all this material, there's all this music to know about besides Pink Floyd and the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and then now, besides, you know, the most popular stuff. Not to diss it, but just to say, find out about some other shit, people, you know? I got my ears open. When people ask me about stuff, even if I don't respond to you, if I don't know about them, I go and listen, you know. For a lot of reasons, I have kind of a, you know, I can be a little prickly. I wonder what some of you folks who are not of color would, I wonder what it would be like if you could experience it, especially coming from my age group, where, like I said, I came up through was born in 1955, you know, shit was crazy, and then it sort of seemed like it was kind of getting cool, and now it's even crazier than ever, you know, and it's just way past time for the old mindset of the world that it's the white man's oyster, that it's, you know, that it's conquest, you know, colonization, you know, the whole idea of these explorers going to foreign lands and bringing back treasure. I'm glad to hear that over the years, these museums in different parts of Europe and America, I think America, have started to give some of that stuff back because it was fucking stolen. I know some of you all are catching why I think it's important to just always speak my mind about this, because, just because, okay? And it's long enough. I've got, oh man, you know? It's at the end of the video. It's at the end of the video, but I'm going to do this. I forgot. I got some more stuff in the mail. Kirk, if you happen to see this, it's at the end, but a surprise. This is something that this is an album that was recorded at the end of the 60s but never released. Susan Christie, Paint a Lady. Now there's a story. This was finally issued by Finders Keepers. Kirk Peterson, a collector I believe in England, who's given me stuff before. Amazing stuff. He found out about it because, I'm going to try to find it. I had read about it. Yeah, I had read about it, like I said. Rather than be bored or be over here doing something stupid over the years, I will be over here hoovering like a vacuum, sucking up knowledge about music from all time periods. I'm very much interested in the history of psychedelia and the post-British boom. That was my coming of age, okay? So I would go to blogs where years ago, they don't do it now, but people would rip their rare albums and then make posts of them online describing them and stuff. And that's how I found this Susan Christie. Found it on some website, downloaded it, made a CDR, you know. Didn't realize that this was a reissue way past the fact. I thought it was, somehow I'd forgotten what I read and thought, okay. And Kirk, he is an audiophile. If you follow some of the record groups on Facebook, Kirk Peterson is in YouTube Vinyl Community and some others. He's an audiophile. He's got some kind of crazily expensive, looks like a piece of art stereo, you know what I'm saying? His stereo is worth more than my house, okay, and I'm not exaggerating. But probably about a week or so ago, he posted himself playing this on his badass stereo. I think he mentioned me, or someone mentioned me. But then he asked me, well, do you have this? I said, no. I did not assume he was going to send it to me, you know. You know, deep down inside, I kind of hoped, and he sure enough did. Kirk, thank you so much. This is really cool. And one thing I'm going to tell you about this, it's folk-based, but it's got this psychedelic thing going on too. And in reading the notes about the arranger writer working with him, John Hill, who's behind a whole lot of stuff that we know about, but I didn't realize till I read it, oh, that's this guy, that's this guy. And there's a track on here, Yesterday, Where's My Mind? Very psychedelic. There's a spoken word part where she about loses it, and I put it in the same category as Suicide's Frankie Teardrop. When he lets loose with that blood-curdling scream, and you're not expecting it. When she goes to this one part here, it's like you can hear it coming, but it's like you're thinking, she's not going to do that, is she? She did! This is mind-blowing. I could go on and on about music, folks. This is something I used to own on vinyl. Comus, her second album, and then the first one with the black and white cover I don't own. It's highly touted and collectible. People are always going on about it. See, I could just talk forever. I could. Some jazz I played. Hadley Caliman. I don't know his background, but I've got a couple of his albums. He can fire it up. Now, he does not have a unique technique, but he can get soulful and he can stir it up. This album is, it could be deceptive. You know, it's a budget album. Catalyst. You know, it's a low-priced label. So the first side is kind of good. You can use it for sex, okay? But side 2 is where shit gets going, okay? And they show you that they can play. Hadley Caliman, projecting. Keep looking at the time like it really matters. Another album that I pulled in relation to Andy Anderson dying, the drummer. This side project by Robert Smith of The Cure and Scott Subrin of Susie and the Banshees, The Glove, Blue Sunshine. Andy's the real drummer on here. They use a beatbox on here on several songs, but Andy's the drummer on here. Now this is one of those records where you can kind of have a so-so response to it. I think it's because of the woman's voice. They use a friend to sing, and she's not trained. You can tell that she's not a singer. She hits it and she misses it, but they keep it. You know what I'm saying? Now, some of the times when she misses the notes, it really sucks. Okay, but the tracks, all the music on here is way cool. Blue Sunshine, The Glove. Rest in peace. And it turns out I kept this. This is the first thing I heard with Martin Archer on it, and didn't realize that's, well, now I know who he is. Went back to this, okay, because thought at first I didn't really like it. So this, sometimes what I do when that's the case is I'll take a record and I don't start with side 1, I'll start with side 2. That's what I did with this one, and it clicked. And Martin can play. He's got some technique. Osculator. First track on side 2 of this is, there's some good blowing on this. And the compositions too. Kinesis by Hornweb, sax quartet. Martin Archer, the guy behind Discus Records. I've been trying to tell you, I'm trying to warm up to this. The last thing he sent me, Beck Hunters. Of course, I recommend it though. You know, the sax player can play on this. I think what it is it's the guitar player, and some of the stuff that he's doing, it's just like, boy, come on. Gotta be honest, okay? But this is way cool. I'm glad that I found that I had kept it. I thought that I had maybe sold it. I have so much shit. What else can I show right quick? Do you know Mira Kalix, this woman? Electronic artist. This is a one-on-one is one of her albums. I'd love to have more of her stuff. You know, again, it's always the budget, but singular sound. warm. You can compare her to Aphex Twin, but with a heart. Way cool, Miracalix. Okay, 35 minutes. I gotta stop, guys. Thank you for your support on my last short video, because yeah, I ain't crazy and I'm not stupid, and I know that people who come here, well, what happens in, see, let me finish. There's just so much to share. Often what happens in communication, or what's happening between people, is when we're communicating what we are receiving. Try to follow me. When I speak, what the other person receives, more than what I'm saying, what they're receiving is their perception of what I'm saying through what they think and believe, vice versa. I try to stay aware, I don't always, of my own biases and filters when I'm interacting with others. Okay? So what I'm saying is, that's why I will not suffer certain interactions, because it's like, oh, hell no. You know what I'm saying? This is not what's going on with me. I'm not going to have you tell me. And my God, how can you have such an, I'm just going to say it, such a numbskull viewpoint? But the world is large. I say that because that's how it comes off to me. Not to be hateful, but to be direct. Many of you people who get on my nerves, if we met, would probably be friends, because that's how it goes in real life. I get along with everybody. I don't like everybody, not everybody likes me, but I accept you. And if our ways are so different that we need to stay the fuck away from each other, that's what I do. But I accept people, but I don't take bullshit. Ooh, not, and especially in person. Please. Come talking some numbskull shit. If I have to talk to you, I'm going to get it straight. Or if I can get away from your dumb ass, that's what I'm going to do. Not going to take my words back. Man, we got some folks that need, education is at an all-time low, and it just manifests itself in behavior and communication, and I'm just not having it. I'm trying to improve myself. I'm trying to be real. Notice I always say, I know I'm far from perfect. But I'm not taking shit. I ain't taking shit from nobody. Hey, see, there's so much shit going on. My younger sister, who is married to Floyd Norman, the first black animator with Disney, they were on the Steve Harvey show yesterday. Steve Harvey, I don't have TV, so I got to watch it. I got to watch the replay online. Just really proud of my family and the things that they do. I'll try to remember to put the link so you can watch Floyd Norman on the Steve Harvey show. Okay. This is the longest one I've done for a while.